Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra Batiste. That is Jarvis Davis. And we are glad you guys are sticking around to talk to us each and every day because we feel like you're talking to us. We're talking to you about all things sports Atlanta. Thank you guys so much for continuing to subscribe really across our entire Locked On Sports Atlanta family. That's why we are almost up to 2,000 subscribers. So continue doing that, telling people to like us, follow us, and really just get others to subscribe and check us out as well. And wherever you check out your podcast, whatever platform that is, go and check us out there as well and give us a 5-star review if you like what we are doing in the way that we bring you the heat each and every day on all things sports Atlanta. And speaking of heat, not red hot,
Man.
white hot Braves. We are still talking. That's right. Braves are undefeated in the month of June. We are still having that conversation in the middle of June. And in fact, not just talking about the fact that they are undefeated here in the month of June, but the fact that they have not taken an L in almost 3 weeks. That is so impressive, especially Jarvis, when you think about the fact that they have won 8 straight on the road. It does not matter what the records of those teams look like because at the end of the day, those teams are still Major League Baseball teams. You're still going into their house and you are still winning and beating them decisively. So those things all count and it's coming from all directions, right? And so like you've said before, I talked about Orlando Arcia, and we said, hey, we think that the Braves have something there, at least as a short term fix for Ozzy Albies. In these last couple of games, he's shown that. He hit an RBI single to get the Braves on the board last night and help them deep into the game to be able to seal it along with Austin Riley, of course. And so the Braves walk away. I know I want to
Mashing, by the way.
definitely talk about that. That was
Goodness gracious.
scary. That was straight
Yeah.
Mississippi Austin Riley. That was
hmm
straight Memphis Austin
Mississippi.
Riley.
You gotta
Yeah,
say
yeah.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Mississippi.
I can't say that.
Sorry.
But
My bad.
that's the problem.
Who's
But
gonna find who I talk to?
yeah, so right. No verb splitting on this show. That's not what we do. But what we do is talk about Austin Riley out there just
Oh
splitting
man.
wigs with the kind of things that he did last night. So of course, 8-2 Braves win to cap off that Nat series as they get a well-deserved day off today ahead of the Cubs game. But again, Orlando Arcia and what he's just done in these last 2 nights has to give the Braves and Brian Snicker so much confidence about having someone that they can count on as they await the return of Ozzy Albies.
We talking about going 4 for 4, and just he just looks so comfortable at the
Yes.
plate, and it's just it's really amazing. Like we kind of touched on this a little bit yesterday. Just the fact that of Alex Anthopoulos just being able to acquire guys and a lot of times people look at them as, oh, they're some Jags, just
Mhm.
another guy, right?
Mhm.
When they bring in guys like Orlando Arcia
Yeah.
or those ancillary players that
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
are able to step in and be those utility guys and be able
Yes.
to play all over the place. And like even with William Contreras, not necessarily a utility guy, but being
Right.
versatile enough to maybe jump in left field when you want to, and
Mhm.
also be a DH and catch as well. So all of
Yes.
those, just the fact that the way he's built this roster, and to have a guy like Arcia, you can count on because like I believe he's the short term answer. Like
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
care if he goes for whatever after this, but
Right.
for him to be able to continue what he's been doing when he's got an opportunity to play this year, and now stepping into this full time second base role
Mhm.
for
For the
however
time. Yeah.
long. Albies is out like you mentioned. I think that the Braves are primed and ready. They are primed and ready to make this run. They're only 4 games back in the
4 games.
NL East.
4
T
games.
like
Thank you,
this
Brewers.
is
Thank you, Milwaukee Brewers.
crazy. Like yeah, keep on spanking
Yeah,
and
keep
spanking.
beating the heck out of the Mets this
Keep
season. Thank
spanking
you.
those Mets, cause guess what? The city of Atlanta is behind the Braves, and we are ready to roll. We are all in on this 14-game winning streak.
Yeah, and all in on Spencer Strider as well because he just shows so much
Wow.
poise, even in
Right.
moments where he got himself into a jam where he gave up the 2 runs. No big deal. He really settled himself down to still strike out 11. He gave them 5 and 2/3 innings, which really helped to set up the bullpen to just shut the Nats down the rest of the way. And so, just that's a beautiful thing to see as well because you're starting to get contributions from everywhere. Every time we're able to talk about a different player than we did the night before, in addition to the guys we were talking about night in, night out, that's a positive thing. And we talked about this even yesterday. Just for the last couple games, Austin Riley, it maybe hadn't been the Austin Riley from 2 or 3 weeks ago, but was still solid, still bringing it.
Of course. Yeah.
Especially when you think about what he's doing at third base. We don't often talk about his defense, but that defense is on point as well. But last night, he reminded you that he carries a big stick to the point where I said to myself, man, not that I'm calling for us to talk about MVPs this early in the season, but I'm like, man, Austin Riley and Dansby Swanson, what they've been able to do consistently across the season to help to keep the Braves afloat is a powerful thing. But then I thought about this, Jarvis. We talk about double A all the time, right? But when
Hmm.
we think about some of these mixes and moves, when we talked about yesterday, how the bottom of the order is starting to warm up, even though Duvall didn't have his best night last night, but still, that bottom of the order with Michael Harris still had another good night last night.
Hmm.
So that's mixing it up, right? Taking a
Hmm.
chance and saying, I'm going to put Spencer Strider out there, or maybe looking, like you said, at putting William Contreras in the outfield to see what he can do and bringing him up at the appropriate times to catch, which that he complimented him on calling a nice game last night. My point
Right.
being this: when we look at this and we think about how the Braves got back in this thing, how they clawed their way back, we always give Alex Anthopoulos a lot of credit, but can we give Stitt some flowers?
No doubt, like because he's the one that has to push those buttons.
Mhm.
He's the one that has to figure out how to keep Contreras and Travis Darno, excuse me, on the get those guys at bats so they can
Mhm.
continue to utilize the white hotness of that catching position. The
Yeah.
production they've been getting out of that position has been absolutely amazing, and
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of flowers being passed out, and we're gonna have to continue to do that as long as this streak goes. And
Right.
I don't think it's gonna stop. Like I said, they have the off day, and they're going to play the Cubs, and the Cubs are they're cubbing,
Yeah.
and they need. I think the Braves are going to be able to take advantage of that. But one more thing before we
Mhm.
get out of here, T, I have to bring up. It was one thing that I noticed last night. Spencer Strider, we all know about the gas, right? He's throwing the gas, the 100 mile
Mhm.
per hour on the gun and all that good stuff. But I just think that for him to be able to develop another out pitch, we know he
Yes.
can. He was striking a lot of guys out on that
Mhm.
fastball. When he needed a third strike, he was going to the gas. But
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that another thing that kind of stood out, he added that slider as an
Mhm.
out pitch. He can
Yes.
use that as an out pitch. When you got a guy like that with that type of velocity,
Mhm.
97 plus, still in the fifth inning, going, and he's the guy that started off as a closer, so he's starting to stretch a little bit
Yes.
now, and that arm is starting to get a little warmed up, a little loose, where he
Mhm.
can go maybe six, maybe even 7 innings. That is some scary stuff
Yeah.
because the Nationals didn't know what to do with what he was throwing last
Oh,
night,
yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was just an amazing sight to see another
Mhm.
another rookie, another young pup that is out there just doing their doggone thing with a hometown team.
Yeah, showed an incredible amount of poise and control on the mound and really, really is stretching that pitching rotation for Brian Snicker. So when we come back, we are going to, of course, get into For the Culture and somebody who probably stretched himself beyond his comfort zone because when is the last time you heard a player actually do something for a ref? We'll talk about it on the other side. It's For the Culture right here on ATL Day Ones.